Our UFC 259 preview show here. Blachowicz versus Adesanya. 3 title fights, March 6th at the Apex. We'll be there, not at the Apex, but we will be in Vegas.
Live streaming from the Apex.
Live streaming from the Apex. Be sure to tune in onto our channel. Hit like, share, subscribe, tell their friends.
We'll have play-by-play updates from Dana White himself.
Use DuckDuckGo. We don't want to get in trouble. We don't want to get caught by Dana's streaming agency, his Stream Hunt agency. We don't want to get caught by them.
No.
All jokes aside, this is going to be a hell of a card, top to bottom. 15 fights currently. I don't want to jinx it, but I might jinx it here. Hopefully, it stays 15 fights.
Considering what happened this week.
Tough luck. This week, So, worst case, well, let's say we lose 3 fights like we did last week. We still have 12, but hopefully it's a pay-per-view. You don't want to lose any of them because even the prelims look pretty nice, and we'll get to those as well. Let's just start with the main event, man. We have Jan Blachowicz defending his first title defense of his light heavyweight belt against Israel Adesanya, who's moving up from middleweight to fight him at light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Very excited. Both these guys fought fairly recently. Blachowicz just absolutely demoed Dominic Reyes. He branded him on the side.
I don't think he branded him. And then drilled a hole in his side.
He broke his rib. I think he broke everything about him.
He broke his spirit too.
Yeah. And then Adesanya pretty much equally kind of did the same thing to Costa. I mean, Costa and Adesanya were talking so much leading up to that fight.
What do you call him? The something Ricky Martin or?
What did he call him? The Brazilian? Did he call him like the Brazilian Ricky Martin? Or no, he says this Ricky Martin ass looking guy or something like that. Yeah, and honestly, he's not that wrong. So it's an exciting fight. Izzy undefeated professionally so far, not counting his kickboxing career. What is Jan riding? He's riding like a 4-5 win streak or something like that. He's doing something right.
I don't know the exact stats, but I do know that I had never seen Jan fight prior to that fight with Reyes, and that turned me into a fan immediately. I had seen Adesanya fight, and while there's no getting around the fact that he's inarguably one of the best fighters the UFC's ever seen, I cannot stand his attitude and his personality. I get it, the showmanship, because even Colby does the same thing. Usman does the same thing, the guys we were talking about last week. But there's just something about his that rubs me the wrong way, where like Usman, I get in a sense, I can kind of understand it, but Adesanya is just like, what are you doing, dude? You don't have to act this way, especially looking at guys like Khabib, and he doesn't act like that, and he's undeniably one of like the best at this point, So for me, it's kind of like, dude, check that attitude, man. We know you're good. We know that you're one of the best, if not the best. So, humble yourself a little bit, man. Nobody's doubting you. Just, I don't know. My hope is that that cockiness and that attitude gets checked real quick by Jan, especially considering he's moving up a weight class. But you were telling me that Adesanya walks typically at the light heavyweight weight just in general, so he probably doesn't have to cut the way that Blachowicz has to cut.
Yeah, his coach Eugene, can't remember his last name, was saying like we're not gonna bulk up to 205. Like we're just gonna pretty much have him how he normally is. There might be like a couple of pounds he might need to come down. I don't know if even that. But yeah, he was saying he's like, we're good where we are. We're not going to do anything. So, which could be favorable for him because Jan for sure cuts down. Jan used to fight at heavyweight, so he's for sure cutting down. And it honestly surprises me every time I see him that man somehow steps on the scale at 205 successfully. He's gigantic. By the way, Jan is riding a 4-5 win streak. Izzy hasn't lost yet. Again, not counting his kickboxing career. So 2 guys coming in hot. I agree with you with what you were saying about Adesanya and like his whole persona thing. He does sometimes say funny stuff. He does sometimes say funny stuff. I will give him that. Having said that, the line per whatever ESPN uses, I don't know what lines, where their odds come from, but this is showing minus 240 for Adesanya, plus 200 for Blachowicz. I had seen it higher a couple weeks ago. So it was plus 220. I want to say I saw Blachowicz. So maybe people have been taking the on, or this is just a different outlet that they're using to. Actually, sorry, OddsShark actually has Blachowicz at plus 195. So maybe it's just been going down. I guess when people are taking on.
Well, see, I can see that because, like, to me, I think that line is too big. You know, I would think.
I agree.
This should be a lot closer than people are expecting. If Adesanya didn't have to move up that weight class, I would be like, okay, you know, they're fighting in the same division. Just both of them are from that same division, so. Okay, yeah, set the lines where you're setting them. But, you know, the fact that he's moving up, we don't know what that means for him. You know, I can't imagine he's going to slow down all too much. But to me, the real question is Adesanya going to be able to get in and work on Jan? Because we saw the way that Jan kept Reyes at a distance. And what I liked about him was how, this is what I like about most fighters that I end up liking is how technical they end up being. They're not really showmans. They don't do the like, whoa, 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 you know, like there's not really much of that. It's very like cold, very calculated. Like I'm going to put this foot here for this reason. And if he steps in here, this is the result of, you know, what I've calculated. And I think that this could be one of those where if Adesanya makes one wrong move, he might be left to regret it.
Yeah, he definitely has that ability. I also do agree that, the line it's much wider than I would have thought. It's actually identical to, it was initially. Jan's last fight against Reyes, Jan was plus 220 then as well. I think when the lines closed, it was around plus 220 or so.
I don't know why they set it at that because...
Yeah, and I think his last couple fights, I think he's been the betting underdog. I might be wrong, but for sure, his previous fight and this fight, I do have Adesanya winning this. When you were mentioning how is he going to be, I was initially thinking the same thing, but then I learned after that he's actually fought at heavyweight before. When he was kickboxing, he was at heavyweight. What he fought at weight-wise, I don't know. What kind of heavyweight he was in terms of his actual weight, no idea. I am still curious to see how he looks at 205. Like, is he still as quick as he is as fast as he is as sharp as he is? Very well, the answer could be yes. But in case he isn't, he definitely has the speed advantage, obviously, over Blachowicz. Blachowicz has the power. And the thing is, Blachowicz also has the ability to do something on the ground. It's funny, they Polish power. Jan says it, everyone says it. I'm going to confirm right now, but I am fairly confident that Jan has more submission wins than knockouts.
Well, because Jan has a jiu-jitsu background.
Yeah, so it's just funny because like his power. So he 100% has power, but also he can just choke you out. His win breakdown: 30% wins of his wins have been by KO, TKO. 33% have been by submission, and 37% have been by decision. Looking at Izzy, 75% have been KO, TKO. 25% have been division.
There's no submissions. He's a striker. He's a complete striker. He's
never attempted a takedown, if I'm not mistaken. And it's funny, right? A little bit before we recorded our prior one, I was reading that Adesanya was saying, he's like, I just can't wait to get on my back with one of these guys. Like, I can't wait to get to the ground with one of these guys because I really want to choke someone out. It's just no one makes it till that point. I just knock everyone out. I was like, I'm interested to see if you get to that point.
I mean, what are you
going to do?
Has he trained in jiu-jitsu and grappling at all? Is he? I mean, I would assume there's some
light. He recently got his purple belt. Belt in jiu-jitsu.
So I'm wondering if
in Izzy's credit. Yeah, in Izzy's credit, and looking at the numbers here on UFC's site, so Jan has a 65% takedown defense, which probably is not going to matter. I can't imagine Izzy randomly decides he's going to go for takedowns against him. But again, in his defense, because they give him crap about like, oh, this guy is not a grappler, he doesn't have a jiu-jitsu background, whatever. His takedown defense is 86%. And now, I don't know what the actual numbers are. Like if it's like a very small batch, like if it's like, I don't know, like 8 for 9, whatever, would break down to 86%. I don't know. But hey, it's 86%, still fairly high. So I'm interested to see for a 5-rounder, where does this fight land? Does this somehow go to distance? Do we see a knockout? Do we see someone submit someone. Like any of those three avenues, I think are possible.
I mean, it's gonna be.
I think the longer the
one or
fight
two,
goes,
yeah.
it's probably going to favor Izzy, though. I would assume.
I would assume because Jan just being the bigger guy, and he's definitely having a cut to make weight. My fear would be that he doesn't have the conditioning required to make it through all the way to 5 rounds, and still be good to keep going at the same pace that he starts round 1 with.
So looking at Jan's last couple fights, so against Reyes, it was a round 2 knockout. Against Corey Anderson, it was a round 1 knockout. Against Ronaldo Souza, it went to decision, and he won. And then against Luke Rockhold, round 2.
He doesn't make it really past the 3rd, but that could also be because he hasn't really fought a 5-rounder. This looks like it may be his first. But
well, he has had this would he was the co-main against Reyes, so since it was a title fight, that was 5 rounds.
Yeah,
he was the main event against Corey Anderson. Whether that was a 5-rounder or not, I don't know. I'm assuming he probably was. He was also the main event against Ronaldo Souza. Is that Shockray? Oh, he fought Shockray. Interesting. And then Luke Rockhold was not a main event, but it was on the pay-per-view. And then prior to that, he fought Santos. That was the main event. So he's fought main events. It's just he hasn't required going into the 5th round.
Yeah, it looks like it's only once. That was with Souza.
Yeah, that was Jacare. That's the guy that Kevin Holland got that swooping punch from the ground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I intuitively my gut pick was when I saw this got finalized, I was like, it's probably going to be Izzy. I want Jan to win. I like Jan. He's cool. He's a brute. This guy's an animal. I saw a video of him today. Like, I don't know where it was. Like, he was in like a frozen lake, just like chilling. And then the UFC embedded episode 1 came out today. He was riding his bike, like mountain biking in Vegas, because they're there already. So he was like doing like an hour and a half of cardio, he said. So I don't know, man. I am curious to see. It wouldn't surprise me if like we see like the first round or 2 kind of slow paced.
Feeling each other out. Well, I mean,
it wouldn't surprise me.
So what I'm curious to see is if Jan brings those kicks to bear against Adesanya, the way he did with Reyes. Because if Adesanya is going to, take Jan down, he's going to have to knock him out. I don't see it going any other way. There's going to have to be a knockout, or you're going to have to thug it out until the 5th and hope that the decision goes your way. But if Jan keeps him at a distance by throwing those leg kicks the way he did with Reyes, I'm sure Adesanya has seen those videos. So, you got to figure he's going into this knowing like, holy crap, if this guy works me like that. But then Adesanya is quick as hell too, so it's hard to say if he's going to stand there and let himself get kicked.
That's what I was going to say, man. He's a shifty guy. That's the thing, man. For me, the main differentiator is that speed element.
Yeah,
it's not the power. Although Izzy clearly has knockout power. I'm not saying he doesn't.
Absolutely.
But I'm not thinking it's going to be that's going to set him apart. It's not his ground game that's going to set. It's his speed. And this guy will fight. He will comfortably go 5 rounds comfortably. I don't know how comfortable, because Jan, again, the last time he had to go 5, he went 5 rounds. Was it 2019? I was just looking at it. 2019. November 2019 was the last time that he went 5 rounds. So obviously he went to 5 rounds. I don't know. I didn't watch that fight. I don't know how he looked in terms of stamina wise. Like,
we'll have to watch that one.
But yeah. So my pick is going to be Adesanya. Is it like an overly confident one? Not particularly, but gut pick was Adesanya. I want Jan to win, but I think Adesanya is going to win.
I want Jan to win, and I'm going to take Jan as my pick as well. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of his jiu-jitsu background. And if Adesanya is talking about, he wants a guy to put him on his back and work on the ground a little bit. I mean, if you're just training in the gym, that's one thing, but to actually be there in that moment and to have all that pressure and all that stress riding on your shoulders while some guy is keeping you pinned to the ground and you have to work. I don't know if he's going to be able to to get the better of Jan in that kind of scenario. So I'm curious to see what happens. I'm taking out Jan as my pick because I think that Jan is going to. He's going to try to keep distance, see what happens. So like you said, I think the first couple might be slow because they're going to feel each other out. I think Jan will try to keep distance the first and the second. And if he's smart, he'll pivot into the third, fourth, and fifth. If he doesn't get a lucky knockout or TKO. And if it goes to the ground, then I think that Jan has the clear advantage because he's a more experienced fighter on the ground. So.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it plays out. Who knows, man? Maybe Jan just comes out, just like balls to the wall, just goes nuts. Round one, he just throws everything he has.
Well,
kind of like because the Reyes fight was a slow opener too. It wasn't like bang, bang, bang immediately.
No, it wasn't.
They kind of danced around that first round. They got there. Jan got his shots in, but it kind of opened up more.
So another point that I want to make though is I forgot who was. I think it may have been you. Somebody was talking to me about this where they were saying, for example, the fight that we saw with it was another title defense fight where somebody was saying that so-and-so is defending. And so when you're defending your title, you need to go and take it from that person. It's not up to the defender to go in and work and do whatever, Because
we were talking about the Romero and Adesanya fight.
Is that what that was?
It was like, yeah, we were talking about that because that fight was not exciting by any means. Like both guys were tap dancing for 5 rounds. I forgot who was saying that. I remember that. But yeah, they were pretty much saying, well, like Romero's the one challenging Izzy for the belt. Yeah. So Romero's going to be the one that Izzy's not going to go out there to lose his belt.
And neither should he. Neither should he. Yeah. And so that could be another strategy that Jan decides to employ, where he just kind of sits back and it's like, okay, well, try what you're going to try, and I'll just do my best to counter it. And then if I see that you're giving me an opening, I'll take it, because I agree with that mentality too. You're sitting on that belt. He wants it more than, well, no, you both want it, obviously, but it's more a question of he has to come and take it from you. Why do you have to go and walk it out to him? So I can see it. I can definitely see Jan coming up with a different kind of strategy where he just sits back on his heels and lets Adesanya try to take the belt from him. I mean, in which case, then I stand by my pick even more.
We'll see. The other thing that I just remembered was we saw with the Costa fight for Izzy how he was absolutely beautifully working.
Oh yeah,
Costa's left leg, just hammering and chopping at that thing very efficiently. That thing, it was already, I think, in the first round, he already jacked it up pretty good. And he's just so accurate, man. Like he that guy's a sniper, punching, kicking. It's really, when he's going at it, when he's not sitting back, when he's fighting, it's very entertaining watching this guy fight. Like the Costa fight, boring fight.
Because of Costa.
Because of Costa. Great performance by Adesanya. Like everything he was doing was fantastic. It's just Costa was just eating everything. So if he saw how successfully the legs worked against Costa, maybe he sees something in his film studies on Jan. If he does film studies, maybe he tries testing that out. Like, because it was still kind of slow. It was a little bit slow for the Adesanya Costa fight, but he was still picking at that leg.
Yeah.
He wasn't just hounding him, like he wasn't pushing the pace like in his face all the time. No, but he was picking him apart with those kicks, just chopping and chopping and chopping. So he might employ something like that. I'm curious. Let me see. I want to know what they have on the rounds for this, because I'd be curious to know if the people are thinking this one goes beyond. Oh, beautiful. The site that I use is having a system maintenance. Well, we'll have to find out later. But yeah, I'm curious to know what the over-under was going to be on the rounds. It wouldn't surprise me. Like, I want to say it's not going to, I don't want to like have like both of my feet in both sides of this, because it wouldn't surprise me if it went to decision. But then also if you told me it's one of those guys knocked the other guy out, I'd be like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me either. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't even know what I want to see. I just want a good fight, but like results wise, like how it ends, I don't know.
I think no matter how it ends,
I just don't want it to be a snooze fest.
I think no matter how it ends, you'll see a good fight. If it makes it to 5 rounds, you'll see that 4th and the 5th being where most of the entertainment lies. Because my gut tells me Jan's probably going to play it safe. He should, considering how dangerous Adesanya is. Is it what we want to hear or see? Probably not. Is it the right move to make tactically? Yeah. So
we'll see on that one, man. That one's so that's gonna headline for March 6th, the third of 3 title fights. The second of the 3 title fights is going to be Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Nunes last defended, was it July? I think it was against Felicia Spencer. I just don't remember when it was. It was July or August.
He is terrifying, dude.
You know, I was thinking about this today when I was driving, because we were talking about this as well. Felicia Spencer, it was June. So, because I believe her and her wife adopted a baby or something. So Dana was like, let her take her time. She can come back whenever the hell she wants. And so 9 months since her last fight. Honestly, the most surprising thing to me about that Felicia Spencer fight was the fact that Felicia Spencer didn't die, because she got, I don't know how that fight was in 50-40. I think there was a ref that scored that 50-40 too, because the scorecard was nuts on that. I mean, it's honestly big props to Felicia Spencer. She was getting hammered. She took it for 25 minutes. She got used and abused for 25 minutes by Amanda Nunes. That was the most shocking thing about that fight. Not the result, but the fact that it was decision after eating that much from Amanda Nunes.
For me, this one's I don't really see a question here. My pick is going to be Amanda Nunes, especially considering Megan Anderson's lost to both Felicia Spencer and Holly Holm, who Amanda Nunes has beat. So yeah. I'm looking at that going, all right, well, she's beat Spencer, she's beat Holm, she's beat Cyborg, she beat Rousey, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't think you can question this one. This is not one that needs any real.
There's a reason. I'm also agreeing. I take Nunez as well, and there's a reason. The line is minus 1,200 for Amanda Nunes and plus 700 for Megan Anderson. It's interesting because I was listening to DC and Helwani today. They were talking about this fight because they were doing their own preview too. So this is the final fight on Megan Anderson's contract, which is interesting that your final fight is a title fight. Like the final fight, obviously, if she somehow pulls it off, she's gonna get her. She's gonna still be fighting in the UFC. But I just found it very strange. I'm not seeing any other fight, by the way, for her besides this one fight, February 29th, 2020. She fought Norma Dumont. Has she only fought? Is this her only second UFC fight? I don't know. I don't know anything about her, so I'm not going to act like I do. But I've seen Nunez enough where I don't need to see anything really from her. The big benefit, the big advantage, and looking at it here, Megan Anderson is gigantic. She's 6 feet tall, 72-inch reach, where Nunez is 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. But like looking at the significant strikes per minute, you have 4.5 for Nunez. You have not even 2 for Megan Anderson.
Yeah, I don't even know if that matters so much. Just looking at Nunez's record, looking at the people that she's fought, it's almost like, well, what's the point? What's the?
I forgot how many years it's been since Nunez last lost. I think was it 2013 that she last lost, or 2014. 2014 is the last time Amanda Nunes lost against Kat Zingano.
Is it possible to give people like a permanent belt? Like where. That's it. It's like, this is yours. There's no point to
residency.
Yeah, like you're it. You're the featherweight champion for life. Don't worry about it.
So she has the featherweight and she has the bantamweight, right? So you have featherweight, bantamweight, flyweight, and strawweight for the women's. I was driving today and I was thinking about this fight. Well, more specifically, I was thinking about Amanda Nunes and her status. She is so leaps and bounds ahead of the competition in both of those divisions. There are some that are closer, but still, like she will be the favorite regardless of who she fights. I almost wonder if she's bad for the sport in the sense that. Because as someone that like I generally there's good women's fights. I'm not gonna say there aren't any, but generally I'm not overly entertained versus when I watch any other guys fight. Sometimes they're way better. Like you have the exceptions like the Joanna and Wei fight. That was phenomenal. There's been great fights. I'm not saying there aren't any, but with her, she just thoroughly abuses everyone she fights, and it's lopsided. So I almost wonder, I'm like, is it a good thing that she's there, in the sense that, like, what are these other women fighting for in those two divisions? It's like, oh, we're going to go and get our ass handed to us by Amanda. Like, I don't look forward to watching Amanda Nunes fights, because I'm like, she's just going to beat someone up for 25 minutes or less, and then that's it. Like, that's why I also don't enjoy watching like Bantam and Feather, like watching those women fight, even not Nunes, just watching them fight. Like, what's the point? They're going to win. Someone's going to become the number one contender, and they're going to get spanked by Nunes until she inevitably retires or whatever. It was like a legitimate thing I'm posing, because here's the other thing. So when Ronda was her prominence grew, right? Everyone knew who Ronda Rousey was.
Yeah.
I didn't watch UFC then. I knew who Ronda Rousey was. You didn't watch UFC then. I'm pretty sure you knew who Ronda Rousey was. Now, that's only two people I'm giving an example of, but like, it's not just people like us. There's a lot of people that you just knew who Ronda Rousey was. This phenomenon was going on. Now, granted, Amanda Nunes happened after Amanda Nunes beat Ronda, but she doesn't have that same notoriety. Like, she's not like a household name the same way that Ronda seemingly was. So that's why it's like, because Ronda was dominating people up until I forgot if she lost to Nunez first or if it was Holly Holm first, but she lost to both of those ladies. So before she lost to those ladies, she was dominating. So that was a little bit different in the sense, like, is that bad for the sport? Well, people knew their eyes were attracted to Ronda. I don't know how much attraction Amanda pulls. Maybe she doesn't. I'm unaware. But I'm just saying, versus that time versus now, I felt like Ronda's name was more emphasized and known versus Nunes.
I mean, maybe what they need to do is gut the women's featherweight division, dude, because there aren't really that many contenders in that weight class anyways.
They might.
You know?
That's something that, funny enough, Helwani said that today too. He's like, could this be the last, like, could this be the end of the featherweight division?
I mean, in which case she does get a permanent title, basically. Like, last women's featherweight UFC champion. I mean, because let's be realistic. Let's look at these divisions right now. I'm looking at featherweight. So far, the only ranked people, as far as this site is concerned, is Amanda Nunes, Felicia Spencer, Megan Anderson, Zara dos Santos. And there's a couple other people on here, but Leah Letson, Danielle Wolf, that's it. And then you drop one weight class down into the bantamweight, and there's plenty of women fighting. So maybe the right move is to nix the division, just entirely nix it. You know, let Amanda Nunes go down as the last champ for that. I don't know, because I remember we were having this conversation. Who was it that said? Who was it? They were thinking about cutting one of the men's divisions. Was it the men's flyweight? Yeah, they were thinking of cutting the flyweight, and then Figueiredo came out of nowhere and just started revitalizing that whole thing, you know. And then Moreno's in there now, and now the flyweight is just solid.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
Well, totally, dude. I mean, especially compared to the heavyweight, I'd rather watch the flyweight fights than the heavyweight fights until, you know, Daddy comes home again. But but yeah, like, I don't know, man. Maybe that is something that the UFC needs to consider, is just nixing that division. Because I don't see them being able to fill this out the same way that the bantams or the fly or the straw is filled out, you know, just in sheer numbers. I mean, that's why that's why Nunez holds 2 titles. That's why she's fighting at bantamweight. How many people can she possibly fight at fly?
She's
feather. I'm sorry.
Exactly. I don't know, man. I'm curious to see what will happen. I don't know if they'll nix it immediately. I don't know what will go down, but either way, for that fight, yes, we both have Nunez. I honestly, for Megan Anderson's sake, hopefully it's quick. Then it's not like how it was for Felicia Spencer, because that poor woman got her ass kicked for 25 minutes like a rag doll. You know what? Let me see if I can pull this up. Amanda Nunes, Felicia Spencer scorecard, because I feel like I remember a judge had that fight at 50-42, and maybe a couple had it at 50-43. I'm completely wrong. No, it was 50-44, 50-45, 50-44. I think I was thinking, why aren't they putting it 50-42 or 50? I thought maybe it was a 50-40, to be honest. She just wailed on her. That wraps up that one. So, I mean, we're beating that one to a pulp the same way poor Megan's going to end up happening. There's just no going around it. She's a immovable object, an immovable force, unmovable, whatever it is. That's what she is. That's why I'm like, is she seriously bad for the sport in that aspect? Like, she so leaps and bounds ahead. It's nuts. Whatever. That's that one. So the first of our 3 title fights now will be the first title defense for Petr Yan, Bantamweight versus Aljamain Sterling. Very excited about this one. This one, for me, I don't know why, but I am most excited about this one of the 3 fights. It's this one for me, and then it's the Blachowicz fight, and then it's the Nunez one. But I'm very pumped for this one.
Well, because Jan's coming off a win with against Jose Aldo, which I think
that was for the vacated belt. That was Cejudo vacated both his flyweight and his bantam. So yes, they had appointed Jan versus Aldo for that one.
I missed this one, which is really unfortunate because it was on the same card as Usman v Masvidal. So it sucks, but I can watch the replays. But whatever. So I haven't actually seen Jan fight live ever. So you've really hyped him up. You've really hyped him up. I'm curious to see how he does. I have seen Aljamain Sterling fight against Corey Sandhagen.
Which was nuts.
He put on a clinic, man.
Just climbed his back, put him to sleep.
Yeah, that was no joke. And he's also beaten Pedro Munoz, who we were talking about earlier. So,
yep.
Considering what we saw Munoz do this week, Aljamain is definitely. He's got a chance is underselling this. He's well in the margin of victory there.
Yeah, the lines on OddsShark have this at -120 for Jan, -110 for Sterling. Again,
so
whatever
they're saying it's a 50-50 pretty much.
Yeah, and then ESPN has it. Well, I don't know what ESPN uses, but it's at -110, -110. A day or a couple of days ago. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure. Was it today? Well, a couple of days ago, the other site that I saw had Jan at -140 and Sterling at +120. Moral of this the odd stuff is they have it close. They have it close. Wherever you look, it's going to be a toss up. Having said that, like I'd like to see Jan win. I like watching Petr Yan fight. He's got a scary left hand. He hasn't fought someone like Sterling. He hasn't really, and this is like the knock that people give to Jan, and I think even Sterling has said it too. He hasn't fought like a big name guy. The thing that you'll hear with people saying about Jan, like the ones that are pretty pro Sterling or just anti Jan, is he hasn't really fought anyone. He had a fairly easy path to the title. And you can definitely make that case. His most difficult person that he fought was Jose Aldo, but he took care of him pretty well. Yeah, outside of that, like name recognition wise, off the top of my head, I can remember it was like Uriah Faber, but it was like an old Uriah Faber. But he wrecked Uriah Faber too. Jan has ability to knock you out, and the thing with Sterling is that he's got that ground game.
He's got jiu-jitsu, man.
It's just weird. Like I was watching the Embedded again today that UFC posted, and Aljo said this. He's like, I'm called Funk Master for a reason. I fight funky. It's weird. It's unorthodox. You don't know what's coming. It's everything. Like it doesn't look traditional, and that's something in his favor because as an opponent, you're like, this guy doesn't do what most people normally do. How do I prepare for this? So it's definitely the biggest challenge of Jan's career. And again, as much as I do want him to win, I actually think Sterling will win this fight. How? I don't know. How the finish will be, I'm not sure. And this is what I was trying to pull up. Jan does have, if I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Sorry, what site are you using to pull up the takedown defense? Because ESPN isn't showing that.
No, ESPN doesn't have it. I was looking at UFC site.
Complete side note, guys. Please contact ESPN and tell them to fix their crap. So frustrating.
Let's see how the pay-per-view is going to be this time when we're trying to watch it.
Oh man, that was on the Conor fight, man.
Yes. Yep. So here's the breakdown for both these men for their wins. 47% of Jan's wins are by knockout, 7% are by submission, and 47% are by decision. Does that add up? No. Well, whatever. 11% for Sterling is by knockout, 42% by submission, and 47% by decision. What I wanted to point out was Jan's takedown defense. Jan's takedown defense is 67. Oh, that's a significant strike. His grappling. This is what I remember. 87% takedown defense for Jan. So that's the thing. So people say, I've heard some say stuff about, does he have a ground game? Is he going to be able to take care of it? Whatever. So his defense is 87%. Sterling's is 51%. They both actually do average fairly close takedown average. You have 1.73 for Jan. You have 1.89 for Sterling. And Jan's takedown accuracy is actually much more. It's 53% versus 29% for Sterling. So I feel like I'm not supporting my case for picking Sterling at all. But I'm going to stick with Sterling.
You sold me. I'm taking Jan. That's it. I'm taking the controversial pick, man.
He's a good fighter, man, and both these guys are. That's why I'm really excited for this one. This is the one that I'm looking forward to seeing most. Although again, I'm looking forward to seeing the Blachowicz fight too, but this is the one that I'm going to be looking forward to the most for this entire card, because both these guys are. And again, I said it on our recap of the Rosenstruck and Gone one. I really, really like this division. This division is like almost always exciting, whether I've never heard of the guys and they just pop up on the screen, or I do know who I'm watching. Bantamweight is fun. The one we were just talking about was Ronnie Lawrence. Who the hell was that guy? Random.
I had no idea.
He wins gets a contract from Contender Series first thing, and this guy's just going at it. So this is a fun decision. This is a fun division. Why do I keep saying decision? Division. Jesus. We'll see, man. I said all that. Statistically, all the numbers really do favor Jan. He lands more strikes per minute. Significant strike percentage is slightly better for Sterling. Defense is the statistics suggest he has better defense. Him being Jan, better takedown accuracy.
We've also seen this doesn't really matter all that much because they're rather close in age, but there is a 3-year gap there where Sterling is 3 years older than Jan too. So. I can tell you personally.
They're, like you said, since they are young, I don't anticipate that really being a factor. But
you're saying that, but as a almost 32-year-old, I can tell you for a fact that the 30 plus age group definitely starts feeling some effects that the sub 30 age group doesn't have.
I can tell you for a fact your 32 is nothing like Aljamain Sterling's 30.
My 32 is more like 58.
How Sterling's gonna feel at 58? Yeah. Ask Cuomo to take care of you. So that's our so those are our title fights. So that's going to be the first one, the Jan Sterling. So far we have, to do a quick recap. I have Adesanya, you have Blachowicz, we both have Nunez, you have Jan, I have Sterling.
Yes.
Our second fight of the main card is the long-awaited return of Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. I don't know who Drew Dober is. Sorry, that's my casual is shining. So I'm going to pull him up right now. But Islam Makhachev, because I know he was scheduled to fight. He's
Drew Dober fought Alexander Hernandez, by the way.
You were pointing that out. Was that the one you were saying we watched that?
No, we couldn't have. This was in May.
Oh, this was I think this may have been the very first post-pandemic, during the pandemic, like the first pandemic event, because May 13th or maybe May. Yeah, that was one of the first ones, is my point.
I'm watching the replay on this right now, and yeah. It's not really a knockout. They TKO'd him, but...
Well, Makhachev was scheduled to fight last year. I think he got hurt, or he COVID or something for travel or whatever. Something happened. I think he's represented by Ali Abdelaziz. Those guys, his guys always somehow wiggle out of fights. Not always. Some of them just they just drop out of fights. Why? I don't know. So yeah, I was curious. So when was the last time Makhachev fought? And I searched. He hasn't fought. Actually, funny enough, I joked about Leon Edwards not fighting since like 1947. Leon Edwards hasn't fought since September 2019. Makhachev has not fought. November 2019.
Makhachev hasn't fought since September
2019. Yeah. So what is that? A year and a half? Yeah, a year and a half. This guy has not had a UFC fight. He won his last fight, and then the fight before his last fight was when he fought Arman Tsarukyan. So I don't know, man. He's a heavy favorite in this one. ESPN has him showing at minus 360 plus 280 for Drew Dober. OddsShark minus 360 plus 270 for Drew Dober.
It's always interesting with these people that haven't fought for a while and that end up coming back because you never know. Like, it's easy to look at them and be like, well, they haven't fought, they're rusty or whatever. Because we were saying the same thing about Conor McGregor, right? And that turned out to be accurate. But I believe there was somebody on last week's card. It was one of the female fighters who hadn't fought since 2012. I think it was Davis. I think hadn't fought since 2012.
No, it wasn't that. It was just she had lost several times though. Was it 2012?
I could be mistaking. I could be making a huge mistake here. It was either this week or last week. I know there was a women's fight that occurred where one of the fighters hadn't fought for a really long time, not just a year or 2 years. It was way longer than that. And then they went in there and just destroyed. So it's hard to say for sure what's going to happen just because somebody hasn't fought that long. You know, if he's been keeping up with his, training camps, if he's okay, then yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken,
he wrestles bears on the weekends, is what it is, dude.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe Khabib will be in his corner. And if not in the corner, Khabib is going to be in Vegas because, hey, guess who's going to try and talk to him again? Dana White. They have another a meeting to be had.
Hopefully Conor McGregor's in Vegas too, and we can get some drama out of it.
Screw that. Maybe we could just run into them.
Yeah. So what I'm most interested about in this fight is that Makhachev is actually a wrestler, and Drew Dober is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter. So if this goes to the ground, prepare to see some awesome grappling.
Hopefully.
I mean,
so it's funny. Like now, let's see. Since we have two guys that are apt on the ground, this is just going to be standing for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
because Makhachev goes to decision. Both these guys. So here's the breakdown of these guys. Makhachev's 17% wins by knockout, 43% for Dober, 39% sub wins for Makhachev, 24% for Dober, 44% decision for Makhachev, and 33% for Dober. So we might see a 15-minute fight here. And I want to say the last three fights for Makhachev all went to decision.
If it's 15 minutes, if it's 15 minutes of looking for those submissions, I'm happy. I don't have any complaints there because I love seeing the ground game. I love seeing people actually work for those arm bars, those triangles, those chokes. I don't think these guys will be in the clinch. I doubt they're the type to do that. If they do, it'll be to try to sweep, or it'll try to be to do something else. But like you said, watch, we're saying this now and it goes completely the opposite. So who knows?
You just immediately, like the first punch throws a heavy one and just knock the guy out. We'll see. I mean, again, it's pretty heavy favorite for someone that has not fought in a year and a half. It does help
that
to
Khabib
be
energy,
someone
man.
that trains with Khabib.
Yeah.
He is also 18-1. Drew Dober does have a lot of fights under his belt, man. 32 fights. So, hey, man, who knows? That might be a dog pick to go with.
Who are you taking on this, Makhachev?
I'm taking a casual pick of Makhachev, yeah.
I'm taking Makhachev as well.
Yeah, that's my uninformed pick. The other three, I was more confident. I mean, the first three I was fairly confident about. Makhachev, I have seen fight. I don't remember seeing Drew Dober fight. I may have actually watched his last fight, but that was over a year ago, almost a year ago, so I don't remember. I will take the Khabib energy and take Makhachev. But plus 280, like if you're looking for like a straight dog bet, maybe that's worth it, because that seems pretty nuts to me that a guy hasn't fought for that long and he enters at minus 360. But maybe he'll show us why he's that heavily favored.
They've upgraded from fighting bears to Siberian tigers. Yeah. That's what it is.
The ones that attacked Siegfried and Roy, actually. I was reading about.
They've been fighting out of the Mirage. Their training camps at the Mirage.
Yeah, exactly. So opening the main card is somehow this was not a fight night. Thiago Santos, Alexander Rakic. Again, we just did our recap of the Rosenstruck and Gane card. We were saying for the Rosenstruck Gane fight that's going to be super exciting. We're going to see a bunch of bombs. We didn't see anything at all. I'm going to cautiously say the same thing here about Santos and Rakic. We are hopefully going to see bombs. We are hopefully going to see some cannons thrown around because these guys are both absolutely terrible. Thiago Santos scares me. Alexander Rakic is also a scary guy. Santos lost his last fight. He fought Glover Teixeira. And honestly, I thought Santos would... I think Glover Teixeira surprised a lot of people last year.
He surprised me. I took him. I took him on that fight.
42 years old. I don't know how old he is. And he got screwed out. He should be fighting Blachowicz, frankly, not Adesanya. He got screwed out of that. But Santos, again, I figured he was returning from like an ACL injury or something. He hadn't fought for a little bit of time, and then he just got wrecked. I think it was a TKO stoppage. And Rakic, if I'm remembering correctly, won his last fight. And I think we watched that one. I just can't remember off the top of my head who it was that he fought. But this is an exciting fight. Yes, yeah. And I believe he pummeled him, if I'm remembering correctly. So, having said that, I'm also very excited about this fight. I have no idea who's going to win this one. I don't have a confident pick at all in this. How are you feeling about this one? What are you looking forward to seeing?
I mean, my major concern is obviously going to be Thiago's age, because this could be a trend that we're seeing. A lot of these like older cats are ending up, they're ending up retiring. Like we saw what happened with Silva. We saw what happened with was it a couple weeks ago? There was another really old head that was fighting that just got destroyed. So
Olnick and
that and then Overeem too, man.
Overeem, yeah.
Jesus Christ, I don't want to talk about that one. But yeah, like it looks like a lot of these old heads are on their way out, and it's not that they're not good fighters. It's that, dude, age is it hits.
I realized he was 37. Damn.
Yeah, no, and it's a huge factor. 37 is still young in comparison to somebody like Anderson Silva, but 37, your body's slowing down. It doesn't matter how many camps you go to. It doesn't matter how healthy you eat. It doesn't matter, how hot your wife is or your fiance, rather. The age is the age. So, having said that, however, that record is impressive, man. And if Thiago catches you wrong, you're not escaping from him.
Once those hammers start coming down.
Oh yeah, man. If he gets you on the ground and he starts hammer fisting you, you better pray that you don't start looking like Megamind after that. You better
pray Herb Dean's not the ref, because he's going to let you eat a few of those extra.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So my pick on this, yeah, I'm gonna take Thiago Santos, man. That's gonna be my pick, especially considering his wife. She performed.
His wife won now.
I keep saying that. His fiance, excuse me. I'm sure they'll get married, but his fiance.
What if she loses and she's all like, you know what?
This is over. I do not like this. You teach me hammer fist. This is what I wanted. I don't know, man. I think that Santos will take it. I think he's got a shot, especially coming off his loss with Teixeira. He's probably looking for blood, dude. I don't think he's gonna be letting go of his position that easily.
For sure. So he has 29 total fights. Rakic has 15, so almost double the experience in his professional fights. So looking at their win breakdowns, it suggests we should see a knockout. 71% knockout win percentage for Santos, 75% for Rakic, 5% submission for Santos, 8% for Rakic, 24% decision for Santos, 17% for Rakic. Granted, I don't know why I remember there being Rakic knocking out Smith. That's not what happened. So Rakic's last fight was a decision. Significant strikes, they get a lot of them. Takedowns, not particularly, about one each. So you would expect it to be a standing fight, but who knows what happens. I'm stalling at this point, trying to figure out who I'm going to pick. I don't know. It initially when I saw this fight, I was thinking Santos. Yeah, I'll stick with that. I'll stick with Santos too. So ESPN has Santos at plus 130, Rockich at minus 155. Odds Shark has plus 130, Santos minus 160, Rockich. So fairly close line.
I just want to point something out. I'm looking at the picks that I had done earlier, and it looks like I had originally picked Alexander Rockich. Alexander Rocket.
And
honestly, I don't know what my logic was behind picking him, because I
saw his record.
Yeah, maybe I just rushed through it. I was like, pick one. But no, I'm going to erase this line, bye-bye, and I'm putting Thiago Santos into that place.
All right, so that's our main card. So we have 10 prelim fights, early prelim and prelims. We're not going to go through all of them. We'll highlight a couple.
Yeah, I mean, go through them quick, because I gotta be honest, I'm not familiar with any of these guys. The only guys that I know are in the prelims. I know Casey Kennedy, Dominic Cruz, Kyler Phillips, and that's it. So, yeah, I really have nothing to say.
Yeah, we'll breeze through these because there's a couple of UFC news stuff that we'd like to discuss as well.
Sure.
So the featured prelim is Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny. I saw a couple stuff today that this is Dominic Cruz's first prelim fight in like 7 years or something, and like his first non-title fight since, I forgot what they said, in like 7 years. Granted, he didn't fight for like 4 years from 2016 to 2020. This guy's been plagued by injuries, and his last fight was for Cejudo. Was for which belt was it for? Bantam? Yeah, it was Bantam, right? Yeah. He's old, man. He's 38, and he's been commentating now for some time too. He hasn't been commentating lately because he's been training, but
I don't have great faith in that then, because I mean, the Felder lost, Cormier lost. If Cruz is commentating, that's it. He's guaranteed.
The commentator curse continues.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Like I'm not familiar with Casey Kenny. I think you said we did watch something at this point. Look, and a lot of these fights do start to blend together. So I just wanted to point that out. That
there were a lot in 2020, so it's not even our fault. It's just every single weekend, and then plus there were a couple even during the week.
Yep. We'll see. I mean, I am curious to see how Cruz looks. He fought not a year ago, but it's been several months now. You wonder if he loses, this is a possible retirement fight for him. I don't know. Interesting to see. He's actually a slight underdog. So we have Odds Shark has Cruz at plus 120, Kenny at minus 150. ESPN has plus 120, minus 140. Song Yadong, Kyler Phillips. Don't really have anything to say about that. I am looking forward to the Benavidez Askarov fight. But I thought Benavidez was actually going to retire after his last fight. His last fight was against Figueiredo. The belt was vacated at that time. This was the second time they were fighting. The first time they fought, Figueiredo got DQ'd. Why though? So I can't remember off the top of my head. Something happened with Figueiredo.
He was too vicious.
Oh, sorry, he missed weight. No, he missed weight. Figueiredo missed weight for the title fight.
he walked into the ring with blood already coming out of his mouth and stuff. Like
he had too much hair dye in his weight, and so he beat Benavidez that first time, but he just didn't get the belt because he missed weight. So they ran it back, and then he beat Benavidez even worse. So he took him out 2-0. And then I feel like I remember Benavidez saying after the fight, he's like, look, I'm realistic. I understand I'm probably not going to get another title fight at this point because he's older too. Benavidez is how old is he? He's in his late 30s.
I'm telling you, man, Dana's retiring a lot of these guys. I think he's just making them fight to be like, look, dude.
36.
That's not that
bad. Not the oldest, but so 36. So I thought the way he was talking, I thought he wasn't going to fight again. Or maybe he just meant like, okay, I'm not going to fight for a title, so let me just get the checks anyway.
It could be his wife doesn't want him to fight, right?
His wife's doing perfectly fine for herself too.
That's what I'm saying. Like she could be looking at him going, "Look, dude, you can't get any uglier, right?" So
Oscar Oskarov, his opponent, this guy's cool too. I do like watching Oscar Oskarov fight. So I'll take Oskarov. I'll take Oskarov in this one. This would be at least 3 straight losses for Benavidez. I don't remember what happened before Figueiredo, but I think Oskarov will take that. And then the first fight of the regular prelims is Kai Kara-France against Rogerio Vontorin. Kai Kara-France, if I'm not mistaken, last lost to Brandon Royval, or was it Alex Perez? I always mix those two guys up. I don't know why. They don't even look that alike, but I still mix them up. I think it was Brandon Royval. Let me make sure. Yes, he was against Brandon Royval. Brandon Royval got a nice, I think it was a guillotine on him. But Kai Kara-France I do like watching him fight. He's fun. He's one of those flyweights that he's not going to be mentioned as one of the ones that like brought back that division, and he didn't bring it back, but he's still like a fun person for me. I like watching him fight in that division. I don't have any familiarity with his opponent, so I won't speak to him. Kara-France is minus 150, Bontorin's plus 125. I'll take Kara-France on that one. You said there was someone you wanted to highlight. Was that Amanda Nunes in the early prelims?
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because we've heard her talked about a lot. She seems like she might be one of the up and comers. It's not that she seems to be; she is one of the up and comers in the women's strawweight division. So she's coming off a win against Mizuki Inoue. So you might be in to see a good fight there, especially considering that this is another one where you have a jiu-jitsu fighter in Souza versus the striker in Limos. So I'd be curious to see what happens with this fight. Hopefully it isn't a snooze fest. You never know, but we'll see.
Another one that I wanted to also point out, Jake Matthews, Sean Brady. You've seen Jake Matthews fight. This he beat up Diego Sanchez's last fight. I don't think I've seen Sean Brady fight. August 29th, he fought and beat Christian Aguilera. So I'm pretty sure I watched that event. I don't remember him though. And he also fought on the first time Benavidez and Figueiredo fought. He was on that card. He fought Ismail Nardiev and he won that. So Sean Brady hasn't lost. Jake Matthews is 17-4. Sean Brady is 13-0. That could be a fun one because again, from what I've saw from Jake Matthews, I enjoyed watching him fight. Sean Brady minus 220. Jake Matthews plus 180. Again, I don't know anything about Sean Brady, so there's probably a reason he's minus.
Well, I'm watching him guillotine Aguilera right now. Oh my God.
Okay.
This one might actually be really good. That was nuts. That was nuts.
Yeah, so, I think that could be a fun fight. I do like the welterweight division too, and these are like clean welterweights. They're not like Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, this might be one to watch for sure.
Yeah, I would highlight this in the early prelims as one to see for sure. I will take Jake Matthews as a dog pick there, just because I'm familiar with him. I don't know who Sean Brady is. So there's another casual pick of Jake Matthews. I don't really have any other ones on the early prelims or the prelims that I want to highlight. I've seen both Tim Elliott and Jordan Espinosa fight. That could be a fun fight too. So let's throw that in there. So there's another flyweight there. I'm not familiar with the first two, Alon Cruz, Uros Medic, I don't know, Mario Batista, Trevin Jones, I don't know. So that is our UFC 259. The
fight analysis.
Oh yeah. Anything else from these guys from these fights you want to touch on, Andrew, before we talk about a couple of UFC news that came out the last couple of days?
Not really, man. I don't know enough about a lot of these fighters to be able to speak to any of it. The main card obviously is the main card. I mean, I think this is probably, other than the Conor fight that we just had, this is definitely one of the fights of the past couple of years. So
yeah, I'm much more excited for this card than I was for the Conor Poirier one, frankly. This reminds me of the one, the first Abu Dhabi card, because it was Usman and Masvidal. You had Holloway and Volkanovski, and you had Jan and Aldo. And that one kind of ended up being whatever, from what I remember. Also, we were not in the state to remember that one, but this one I'm really looking forward to. So that's 259. So to go into some of the news that came out, where this is March 1st. So yesterday, or was it today, Masvidal put out a video on his YouTube alluding that he will be returning August or September of this year to fight Kamaru Usman. I'm pretty disappointed that this rematch was booked because it makes no sense to me that Masvidal loses in July 2020. He fought prior to that November 2019, loses July 2020, and then doesn't fight until August or September of 2021, and fights the same guy that he lost to July 2020, when there's other people that I think are more deserving, namely Colby Covington, or at least have another fight or something to determine, or Masvidal should be fighting someone else to even prove if he's worth fighting.
We talked about this last week, and then when we put that video out, there were a bunch of comments on the video basically saying stuff like, oh, Colby. People are saying like, oh, Colby needs to prove himself. Colby needs to prove himself. I'm like, okay, well, Masvidal needs to prove himself. Why is that fight being booked and the Colby fight isn't being booked? Masvidal didn't give Usman the run for his money that Colby Covington did. So I don't get it. I mean, and if we're talking about just straight from you want to make money standpoint, from the business standpoint, I would think that the Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman rematch would generate a lot more buzz. I mean,
who knows, man? I was actually gonna say maybe the pay-per-view for the Usman and Masvidal did better, and frankly, it probably did, but that's also because you had two other title fights on there too, so that might skew those figures a bit. I don't know. Yeah, I'm, and the other thing that again, Helwani and DC, I think were mentioning today on their show was that given that that's probably going to be August, September, that they might do the Ultimate Fighter, that the reality show that the UFC hasn't had for some time now. They might have Usman and Masvidal be the coaches, and then they have their title fight after. So that's nicely situated. Look, I'm going to watch the fight, of course, but I just in terms of like merit-wise, who should have. You could argue that, yeah, sure, maybe it shouldn't have been Colby. Like you could make, but I don't think no one's going to convince me that Masvidal should have been the one that's having that fight versus anyone else.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's nothing really more to say on that, dude, because we really beat that horse last week, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of upsetting to me because it's one of it goes back to like the Conor thing, the Conor Khabib thing. You know, people are like, oh, Conor should fight Khabib again. Conor should fight. I'm like, why? Why would he fight Khabib? Why would Khabib fight him? He already beat the shit out of him, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and we know what the result is going to be.
And with Poirier too.
Yeah, like we know what the result is going to be after a rematch. There's no point. So this is kind of the same thing. I feel like, Usman's going to destroy Masvidal. I don't think there's any question about it. But having put Usman up against Colby may have actually ended up in, or even another guy, like you were saying, it's very possible that putting him up against another guy may have produced a different result. But I don't think fighting Masvidal is going to give us that, what we're looking for, which is a good fight. I mean, we might have an entertaining fight, but I don't think it's going to be what it could potentially have been. Let's say.
Yeah, I think we did this last week, but so welterweight, number 1, Colby, number 2, Gilbert. Obviously, it's not going to be Gilbert. He just lost. Well, I shouldn't say obviously because Masvidal lost, and then his next fight it's going to be against Usman. Then you have Leon Edwards. Leon's fighting next Friday. And then you have Georgie Masvidal at number 4, and then you have Stephen Thompson at 5, who recently fought, and I think he's hurt. And you had Michael Chiesa, who recently fought, and
he's hurt.
Chiesa after his last win. Yeah, exactly. Michael Chiesa after his last fight called out Colby. I still think the mistake Colby made was by not stepping in and fighting Leon Edwards, because then if he beats Leon Edwards, there is no question that he will be fighting whoever the champion is at that point. But he didn't do that. And now, honestly, who do you put Colby Covington against? Gilbert Burns has said, "Hey, Colby, let's fight." Leon Edwards is fighting Bilal Muhammad. Masvidal's fighting Usman. Thompson is hurt, unless they wait for him to heal up. And actually, I think Stephen Thompson, maybe said something to fight Colby. I just mentioned Chiesa said he wants to fight Colby. Now we're already at number 6. Colby's not fighting anyone else outside of that. He already beat Woodley. He already beat Damian Maia. He's not fighting Neil Magny. He's not fighting Luque. He's not fighting any of these other guys. So it's a weird situation with Colby. It's like, well, now what do you do?
Well, I'd be curious.
It's the welterweight division is kind of in a weird place.
Do you think he could like move up a weight class? I don't know if he'd survive in middle, but could he potentially move up? Considering that our boy is in middle and he's not performing either.
Colby Covington he has the height. He's 5'11". I didn't realize he was that tall. I don't know, man. Colby like looks like 170. Like, you know how there's certain fighters that, like, Usman does not look like 170. Usman looks like 185. He looks like a middleweight. And granted, obviously after weigh-ins, they fluff up, but even at weigh-ins, like while they're on the scale, I'm like, how the hell is that guy 170 pounds? But when I look at Colby, I'm like, yeah, he looks like someone that's 170 pounds. He's not moving divisions. He's not gonna do that. The only reason he would is if he secured a welterweight and then for whatever reason he decided, I want to go take another belt, but I don't know if he would even do that. So it's a weird position for him. The division is kind of, again, this little bit of a... So you're going to have number 4 is going to be fighting the champion. Number 3 is going to be fighting number 13. That's Edwards and Muhammad. And then, I don't know, maybe Burns and Covington. I wouldn't mind seeing a Burns and Covington fight. I think that would be an interesting fight. But yeah, I don't know. So that was the news regarding Masvidal and Usman that came out. Again, I forgot if that was yesterday or today. And then the other news, like,
it just goes to show. But before you go into that, I just want to point out, it just goes to show that what everybody was saying about Usman not ducking Colby is literal bullcrap, dude. Yeah, we had put that out. We had put that video out a few days ago, and like the comments were pretty split about it. We had like 20 comments or so. About half were saying he is ducking him. Half were like, you guys are stupid. You're casuals. You're clowns if you think he's ducking him. Yeah, he's ducking the number 2 in the division, dude. Okay, yeah. Come on, man. Get with the program. So, Kamaru Usman doesn't want to lose. If he fights Colby, there's a chance he's going to lose. If he fights Masvidal, I don't see it.
I do. One person says something that I did understand their point. They're like, Colby lost to Usman. After losing to Usman, he fought a pretty crappy Tyron Woodley, and he hasn't fought anyone else since.
That might not be his fault, though.
It kind of is. It is his fault by not taking the Leon Edwards fight, for example. He could have taken that fight. He didn't.
That's true. He could have taken that one.
So I was like, that's a fair point. So I'm not saying it has to be Colby Covington next to fight him, but it just my point is more, it doesn't make sense to me that it's Masvidal fighting him, because he lost to him and fought no one else. Actually, I'm glad I've said this. So Masvidal loses to Usman, right? July 2020. Now he's fighting no one else, and somehow he gets a rematch against Usman for September 2021 or August 2021. How about our boy Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whitaker? This guy got piped by the UFC, by Dana White, I would say. Why do I say that? So he fought Izzy, right? So Izzy, he fought Izzy in 2019. He lost to Izzy. He lost his belt. Okay. That was October 2019. So let's look at October 2020. So he loses to Izzy. Does he get a rematch? No. So his first fight after losing to Izzy is against Darren Till. He beats Darren Till. Okay. Fast forward a couple months, he fights Jared Cannonier. He beats Jared Cannonier. Okay. So he's beat 2 top 5 guys now. After losing to Adesanya. So you would think, okay, so he's fought 2 people now. He was a champion, he lost, but then he immediately beat 2 top 5 guys, so he's probably he's going to fight for the title. No. Now he has to fight Paulo Costa next month. I don't get it. So you have a former incumbent champion that loses, and then you're putting him through 3 top 5 fights, and then hopefully after, if he were to beat Costa, hopefully this guy's next fight is a championship fight. But then you have Masvidal, who just due to one flying knee has propelled his stardom.
Thank you. I'm glad you actually said it, man.
So
that's what it is.
Look, he's beat people. I'm not going to say he hasn't beat people.
No, but that's
I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. But if for just within the divisions, within the UFC, does it make sense how you have Robert Whitaker going through the ringer?
No, it does make sense, man. We've talked about this before. It's the fact that they're showmen. Masvidal's a showman. Yes,
I'm speaking it just completely on merit. I'm not
completely on merit.
And Whitaker said the same. Whitaker has said as much. Whitaker's like, he's like, I'm not gonna be that guy that goes and does all of this. He's like, that's not me.
Yeah.
And he very clearly said like he wants to fight, but like if Izzy wants to go up to 205 and fight, then that's his prerogative. Like he's okay with that. And then somehow Dana spun that to Whitaker doesn't want to fight for the title. He's like, dude, I didn't say that at all. So Whitaker. I like Robert Whitaker. He's a cool dude, and he's a hell of a friggin' fighter, man. This guy's an animal. So I don't like that he got done dirty like that. And then you look at Masvidal, and then he's gonna get a back-to-back title fights, even though he lost one, and he's probably gonna get an Ultimate Fighter gig with Usman too. It's tough. It's unfortunate. So I understand why, but it's still on merit, it makes no sense. Like you're having a guy that was the champion that lost, going through 3 title fights, versus a guy that was not the champion that lost, gets an immediate rematch for the title. And it's not like Moreno and Figueiredo, which also that was another news that came out, is that rematch has been rebooked. I
don't know why.
What do you mean?
No, because it was a draw, right?
It was a draw. Yeah. This was a hell of a fight. So that one, I believe, is June 12th.
I don't know if I want to rewind the clock.
Rebook that. Why?
I don't know.
Why? I can't imagine anyone that does not, besides you apparently, that does not want to see that fight again.
I mean, like, it's not that I don't want to see it. I think maybe like it needed some breathing room, because like
it's been 6 months. It'll be 6 months by the time they fight.
Has it really been that long, dude?
They fought December.
By the time they fight. Yeah. Okay.
They fought December 12th, I think, and they're fighting June 12th. Something like that, or December 13th. But so that one makes sense though, because you had them fight. Those two fought and it went to a draw. So immediately Dan is like, we're rebooking that. I'm like, yes, that makes sense because they fought to a draw. There was no concrete winner. So you run that back. That makes sense. But not the guy clearly loses in Masvidal and then you run it back. I don't know. That was frustrating. Sucks for. I mean, it sucks, not that it's directly correlated, but it does suck for Whitaker. I wonder if he's thought about this himself. I don't know if he's spoken about it, but I would be curious if he's been like, he looks at that situation, he's like, what the hell, man? This guy he's getting to do this. He's getting a rematch, and I have to fight 3 top 5 guys to maybe get a rematch.
There's definitely like favoritism that occurs. That much is obvious.
Of course.
Yeah, but it is unfortunate.
I don't know, dude. It is. That's really the news that I had. We did touch just towards the end. I had forgotten that they had rebooked the Moreno and Figueiredo fight, but they did rebook that as well. We do have another pay-per-view at the end of this month, March 27th. We have 2 title fights on that one. We have, for the heavyweight, we have Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. That hopefully will be scary. And then we have, for the featherweight belt, we have Volkanovski fighting Brian Ortega. Also looking forward to that. But we do have a couple of events in between then. We have next week headlined by Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards. Unfortunately, it's not Colby Covington, Leon Edwards. Week after that, we have Kevin Big Mouth Holland versus Derek Brunson. So throughout this entire month, our main events are on paper fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, the Edwards and Muhammad one, I'm not as enthused about, but still could be a fun fight. But all the other ones looks great on paper. So we'll see how this month goes. But Andrew, anything else on UFC 259 this coming week or any of the other news?
I hope my Mountain Dews come in really, really strong and it tastes delicious. Let's see. Let's see how it fares for us. How we fare this weekend over there. I'm taking a 15-leg parlay, man.
Yeah, let's both do that. We'll put 5 Cheetos on it and see how many we get back in case we somehow hit it.
I'm with it, man.
All right, man. So that's for this coming week's preview. We did a recap of last week, so we'll have that is probably already up and out. So and then keep an eye out for our recap for the March 6th one. I don't know if we're going to do that in Vegas or not, but we'll do that somewhere at some point. And then,
that's one of those things we might even be able to live stream. So I don't want to promise anybody anything.
Yeah, let's see where we are.
Happens.
Yeah, depending where we are. Maybe we're at the apex. But yeah, so that wraps up our.
I'll be live streaming from inside the octagon.
Yes, or next to Bruce.
No, I'll be one of the fighters.
You're one of the COVID relief fighter.
Whatever the case may be, bro. Take me as the dog, guys. I promise I'll deliver.
You're gonna be taking kneecaps, dude. All right. So that wraps up the 259 recap. Let's see how that card goes. I mean, on paper again, looks fantastic. Let's hope we're not all let down. But until the next one, thank you guys. Andrew, thank you. And happy International Women's Month. Goodbye.
Cheers, man.